Hey everyone, this is Ryder from Skip. I hope you're doing well. It's Friday, November 20th. I have a very quick update for you on the latest stimulus news that's come out today. Some comments from both Mitch McConnell and Steve Mnuchin, as well as what President-elect Biden is saying about existing stimulus and new stimulus programs. I'm going to talk about that. Overall, the talk is positive, so I want to share what's being said. But at the end of this video, I'm also going to share our survey results. The question asked, do you plan on spending Thanksgiving with 5 or more people or not? The results were interesting. It's kind of what we expected. I'm going to share those at the end. Let's keep this short and dive into the news. McConnell said today that Congress should redirect unspent stimulus money to support small businesses, backing Mnuchin in his fight against the Fed. Now, yesterday, in controversial news, Mnuchin ended some Fed programs. He said that they will not renew after the end of the year, but I'll loop back to that. Here's what McConnell said. Both McConnell and Mnuchin want Congress to reallocate unspent stimulus funds to support small businesses. Quote, American workers should not lose their jobs needlessly when a second round of PPP for the hardest hit small businesses would make a huge difference. Republicans and Democrats have always supported a second round of PPP funding, and we know more than ever that businesses, many of you watching these videos, are struggling and could absolutely use another round of PPP funding. McConnell issued the statement Friday afternoon. He said, quote, there is an obvious right use for the unused funds. He argued it should be directed at urgent, important, and targeted relief measures that Republicans have sought for months over repeated Democratic objections. They are not enough to stem the hardship among people in many sectors of the economy. The sum is, Republicans have always wanted targeted, quick relief. Democrats have always said, we want to go big or go home. Democrats have always feared that if they pass something small, Republicans won't come back to the table to negotiate on more funding for, let's say, local and state governments. Here's the press release, short and sweet, from a couple hours ago. The last sentence I'm going to read here. Republicans continue to support passing these kinds of urgent and targeted measures as soon as possible. So it's another point where McConnell has said, look, they're ready to give some quick relief to people who need it the most, especially small businesses. Now, from the Democrats' side, they've criticized what Steve Mnuchin said yesterday. I'm going to read a quote here from someone on the transition team. Quote, the Treasury Department's attempt to prematurely end support that could be used for small businesses across the country when they are facing the prospect of new shutdowns is deeply irresponsible. It goes on, at this fragile moment, as the COVID and economic crises are reaccelerating, we should be reinforcing the government's ability to respond and support the economy, not undermining it. On Thursday, Mnuchin informed the Fed that he did not plan to extend several key lending programs beyond the end of the year, and he also denied that politics played a part of this decision. He made those comments this morning. To go further, Mnuchin said today that he and GOP leaders, so referring to McConnell, will discuss a plan to pass a targeted stimulus with Democrats' help. Here's what he said this morning. I can tell you Mark Meadows and I will be speaking with Mitch McConnell and Kevin McCarthy this morning, and we are going to come up with a plan to sit down with Pelosi and Schumer and try to get a targeted bill done for the people that really need it. And hopefully the Democrats will work with us. Now, we know that the Democrats and President-elect Joe Biden are pushing for a $2.2 trillion package for many of the reasons I've talked about for months, so we all know both sides of the debate. In terms of any response from Pelosi or Schumer today, we haven't heard any directly about what's been said by McConnell and Mnuchin. If we do hear something over the weekend, I'll let you know. And I guess this breaking news just came out that Donald Trump Jr. tested positive for coronavirus earlier this week. Just to show you the extent of the White House infections is pretty pervasive. I would not be surprised if we find out later today that Rudy Giuliani has also tested positive. We found out his son tested positive earlier today as well. Speaking of infections, here's the map. As I mentioned earlier in the week, the New York Times has changed their color coding to show these extreme cases, these dark purples, still in the Midwest. We know how bad it is here. I mean, just to show you some numbers here, we're looking at between 100 and 200 per 100,000 residents. It's all normalized per population compared to, let's say, the Bay Area where, in Napa County, there's 9 per 100,000. So basically the infection rate is 20x in parts of the Midwest here than it is on some of the coasts. Here we go, Brewster County, Texas at 197 per 100,000. I mean, look at that 14-day trend right there. And so it's all going up. Here's a county in Nevada, 309 per 100,000. So that's 30x what it is in some of the low infection counties. Anyway, we're keeping an eye on this. Yesterday, there were almost 190,000 infections. You know, that seemed unfathomable 2-3 weeks ago. Experts predict that, of course, in the next 2-3 weeks after the Thanksgiving, we will see well over 200,000 daily infections. Let's hope not, but it's more and more looking like that's going to be the reality, unfortunately, as we go into Thanksgiving and the holidays. We asked our users earlier this week, do you plan on having a gathering of over 5 people or not? And we just posted the results a few minutes ago. 85% said no, that they plan on doing a small Thanksgiving this year, 5 or less people, mainly with people in their households. So if you were wondering if you're all alone and doing a small Thanksgiving, you're not. The majority of the country, at least our users, have said that they are keeping it small, keeping it safe. Anyway, on Wednesday, many of you left comments about that as well, that you were going to keep it small. We'd love to hear in the comments if that's still the case. And we're having a new survey next week as well. So please subscribe and support our channel. And of course, as I've been plugging for a few weeks now, our new free Skip app has all of this and more, including all of our surveys. Please download it in the App Store or Google Play. We promise you'll enjoy it, and we have a new version coming out next week as well. We have lots of exciting stuff there. Most importantly, I hope you stay well and stay healthy, and I hope you have a good weekend. Thanks.